welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well out there. And today we're going to head back to 1981 for one of our classic werewolf movies. But before we get into it, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Join me here. I greatly would appreciate that. Also, as always, a shameless plug for my TeePublic store. I'll leave a link in the description box below. And today we're going to talk about one of the biggies, folks. One of the two werewolf movies that came out in 1981, and that one is The Howling. Yes, The Howling came out April 10th of 1981. The other big werewolf movie that came out that year was American Werewolf in London. That one came out later that year in August of that year. This one's rated R. It's an hour and 31 minutes long. Had a budget of $1 million to a little over $1 million. We'll talk about why it went over $1 million. And upon release, it made $17.9 million. And to direct this film, they brought in Joe Dante. Now, he wasn't originally going to direct this film. Joe Dante at the time was developing Jaws 3, People Zero with Universal Studios. But that movie's about to fall through, and Joe Dante ended up doing this film because he knew Bob Ramey over at Avco Embassy, and he came in and ended up directing this bad boy. He had directed Hollywood Boulevard for Roger Corman in 76, and he directed Piranha in 78, and this was his next big shot at the wheel. And he got Gremlins based off the success of this film. Steven Spielberg saw this, liked what he did with it, and gave him the job on Gremlins. That's also why Steven Spielberg hired Dee Wallace for E.T., because Dee Wallace is in this film as Karen White. She is a reporter for this television station in Los Angeles. Patrick Macnee plays Dr. Wagner. He is on their station talking about the serial killer that's been going around in Los Angeles at the time. Dennis Dugan plays Chris. He works at the television station with Karen. He's like a producer. And he would go on to have a directing career. He directed a lot of Adam Sandler movies. Happy Gilmore. He's going to do Happy Gilmore 2 on Netflix. And then it has a ton of character actors. We got the great Dick Miller in this film, and he plays a bookstore owner. He's great here, as he always is. Robert Picardo plays Eddie Quist. He is the serial killer going on in Los Angeles, and we find out later on he's a werewolf. We got John Carradine, legendary character actor. Kevin McCarthy, a legendary character actor. He's in the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers back in the 50s. Slim Pickens is in this film. And Marcia, played by Elizabeth Brooks, is also in this film. And I only bring her up because, well, she's obvious why you would bring her up if you've seen this film. I don't think I got to elaborate on that. And basically in The Howling, Karen is his reporter. She gets contacted by Eddie Quist. He wants to meet up. And she ends up meeting him in this back of this porno store. And they did shoot in a real porno store. Back in one of those rooms where you can watch a movie back in the day. I don't know if they even exist anymore, but way back when. And Eddie gets shot and killed, and now Karen's kind of comatose. She can't remember what happened in that room. She's kind of fuzzy on it. And Dr. Wagner recommends her come up and spend some time at the colony, this new age kind of retreat where he's treating some people, and her and her husband go up. And pretty soon, besides everybody's a little off, weird stuff starts to happen before you know it. They figure out werewolves are at this colony, and the doctor's trying to help them not be so savage and fit into to today's standards. And the werewolves don't want to. We get a mutiny, and at the end of the film, Karen gets bit. As she escapes with Chris, she gets back to LA, and she goes on TV, transforms into a werewolf. Chris kills her to prove to people there's really werewolves, and that's the end of The Howling. So what to like about this film? Well, the cast is great. Dee Wallace is the queen of horror. She's fantastic. She's done a ton of horror films. I always thought Dee Wallace was a fantastic actress. It's a shame. I mean, she did some more mainstream films like E.T. and that. It's a shame she never had a bigger... I mean, she's done a ton of films, don't get me wrong, but it always amazed me that she didn't do more mainstream fare later on. Maybe that was a choice by her. I don't know. I think the whole cast is great across the board here. I love Joe Dante's directing. Joe Dante is one of my favorite directors. Not my favorite, but one of my favorites. I always admired his style with films and the way he would shoot a film, or the tone he sets with films. I mean, he would go on to do Gremlins. I liked Piranha before this. I love Gremlins. Gremlins 2, I think I might even like Gremlins 2 more because it's so batshit crazy. I love Inner Space, The Burbs, Matinee. Joe Dante was one of those directors I always enjoyed. I love is the color palette here. When she's in LA and she's going into the porno store, she's walking down the street, all the bright colors from the neon and that. It's really colorful. And I love the shots when she gets to the colony, the nighttime shots of the fog rolling through the forest. Just tremendously moody shots, and I love it. And then, besides all that, you got the great special effects here. Now, Rick Baker was originally doing the effects on this film. He was actively working on the effects. When he got a call from John Landis, who had a script for American Werewolf in London he was trying to get made for a long time, he finally was able to get the money, because him and Rick Baker had worked together before in the 70s, and they always talked about how to pull off a werewolf transformation. Well, Landis finally got the money, called Rick Baker. Rick Baker told Landis that I'm already working on a werewolf film called The Howling with Joe Dante. John Landis gave him shit, so he left The Howling, but left the special effects in the capable hands of his protege, one Rob Bottin, who was just coming off of The Fog. So Rob Bottin ended up doing the effects on this film. Rick Baker went and did the amazing effects on American Werewolf in London, and in 1981 we got two amazing werewolf transformations, I think. Because I think the transformation in this movie is really, really great as well. And obviously the one in American Werewolf in London is legendary at this point. There's only, the effects are great in this film. There's only two effect shots. One's that animated shot of Marcia and Karen's husband making love in the forest and transforming into werewolves. That does not hold up, obviously. And then when Karen and Chris escape, they show that shot of the three werewolves in the road, and it's claymation or stop motion, and they have a dissolve over it, so they kind of try to hide it, but it comes off, especially nowadays on 4K TVs and all that. It doesn't hold up, but the regular makeup effects and the other effects look great in this film. Rob Bottin did a really nice job picking up Rick Baker's mantle and running with it. And obviously, Rob Bottin will go on to do the thing with John Carpenter shortly after this and give us those legendary special effects. So, hats off to him for that. The story, I've read the original book by Gary Brandinger. I like the original novel. This does deviate from that quite a bit. It has the central premise, but they definitely, in the book, it's not a colony. It's this little town up in, out in the middle of nowhere, California. So they do change up quite a bit, and there's not quite, this has a little bit more comedy. The book is not humorous. It's very much more serious. But I do like the tone that Joe Dante strikes. I think it strikes that balance of a little bit of comedy, a little bit of goofiness, and horror all wrapped into one. I think Joe Dante's pretty much perfected that over the years going later on in his career. I think the score is pretty good. The cinematography, I think they do a really nice job, considering this was a $1 million budgeted movie. Now, they did go over a little bit over $1 million. They wrapped filming, and while they're doing filming, they didn't have a whole lot of money. So the effects, Rob Bottin built what he could with the money they had, but they asked for more money once they finished shooting, and Avco Embassy gave them a little bit more money, and they went back and shot more werewolf stuff. So more special effects were shot after the fact that be added into this movie, which I think the movie definitely is better for it, for sure. Because I think the transformation in this one is very, very impressive. And Robert Picardo gives a great performance in the limited screen time he does have. Are there any downsides? I don't know. I really like this film. This is a classic. You could say that the tone, I can see sometimes the tone not working for everybody. For me, it works. Especially, later on with Joe Dante, the rest of his filmography. He captures his tone quite a few other times later on in his filmography as well. So I can see the tone being a problem for some people. For me, I'm fine with it, but I've also seen this movie many times over the years. Since watching it on TV as a kid to now owning this Blu-ray from Scream Factory. I haven't seen the 4K. My good buddy Dale Underscore from the Bat and Sputter podcast has the 4K. He said it looks amazing on 4K, and this Blu-ray looks really good. The movie still holds up look-wise really, really well. I really don't have too many negatives. Do I like this one over American Werewolf in London? It depends on what day I'm on. I know some people prefer American Werewolf in London. I love American Werewolf in London. I have the 4K from Arrow Video. But I don't know. On any given day, last night rewatching this again, I really, really enjoyed my time with this once again. It's so charming. It's so many great character actors throughout. Every time a face pops up, you recognize that face from some other movie. So, Joe Dante really cast the shit out of this movie. And Roger Corman has a cameo in this film as well. He's a gentleman standing outside the phone booth when Carrie makes the phone call at the beginning of the movie. So I really like this film. I think it's a classic. It's well constructed. Now, this movie took 28 days to shoot, and then they went back for a few extra days to shoot those effects I was talking about when they got some extra money. So the budget was a little over $1 million. And it did all right. Did $17.9 million at the box office, so it made some money for Avco Embassy. And then it would go on to spawn many sequels. Part 3, which I might review. I have that on DVD. I just found it. I haven't seen Part 2 in years. Last time I saw Part 2 was on Up All Night on USA. I think it is streaming on Tubi, so maybe I'll go down a little bit of the Howling road and review some of the Howling sequels. I remember some of them not being very good at all, but it's been a while since I've seen some of them. I think Joe Dante did a really nice job for $1 million here. You can't complain. The effects hold up really, really well. They look amazing. I really like the Howling. At the end of the day, I would give the Howling a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 for the Howling. What are your thoughts on this one? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly would appreciate that. That's it for this one. I'll be back soon with another review. But until next time, bye.